Hey guys, and welcome back to the Boxmining channel. Today we have a super exciting interview with Julian Kwan, the co-founder of Uniswap. What they're doing is they're doing security tokens, and this is something that is so disruptive that it's going to transform how money and securities are traded in the next decade. I think this is something that hasn't happened in finance for such a long time. It's a disruptor, but obviously you probably guys have heard about it too. There were a few barriers that prevented it from being super successful. So what we're going to do in this interview is talk generally about security tokens. You know, what they are, what the promise, what the opportunity is, and what were the hurdles of preventing security tokens from becoming major assets that are traded right now on the blockchain. And then we're going to talk about how these barriers have been removed and what are the opportunities in the future as well. So super nice to see you here, Julian. Welcome to the channel.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Hey, so, you're an expert in this field, right? And you've been working with the security space for a long time. Can you just tell me, generally what excites you and what brings you, with full of energy here?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's great to meet the community. I think the best way to kind of simplistically explain the opportunity and the proposition that we're working on is that, pretty simply for all the crypto guys, Bitcoin and Satoshi came along, quite some time ago, and they kind of redesigned the concept of money and what you believe in as money and the exchange of value. And obviously then the entire new system and probably in the last 30 to 60 days, we were just talking about it, crypto is just absolutely exploding, right? So it took a bit of time, but that technology across that new, important system, money system, completely changed the game. So what we've been working on is using the same technology, so same DNA of blockchains, lots of different blockchains, of course, but to simplify, bringing this technology and marrying it with all the private market investments, which are known as securities. So what's private market investments? Anything that's not publicly traded: real estate, venture capital, private equity, sharing a restaurant, pretty much everything, right? It's not a public listed stock and it's not trading in a venue. So with the same thing that Bitcoin and blockchain did for money, we're doing blockchain and marrying that with these private securities. And then we're going to have our own journey. But I think it's going to be the same kind of explosion of value and growth when this all comes together. So that's what we've been doing. We've been working on, very hard at work on the Uniswap platform, which is effectively becoming a key infrastructure bridge between DeFi, which is digital currencies, and all the crypto, and digital securities, which is the security tokens in that world, and merging those together. And this is where we're really going to start to see some incredible stuff when you start thinking about programmable debt, programmable equity, just like programmable money. Yeah, it really keeps us up late at night and gets us up early in the morning because we're super excited.
Nice. And I think this has been talked about for a long time as well, right? Because in this space, we were always thinking about how to bring this kind of 24-hour access to the markets and to bring securities trading here. But obviously trading securities involves a lot of regulation and everything that's going on. Has anything changed substantially that's going to allow this to be possible? What have you guys been doing to improve that kind of regulation front as well? Because I feel like that's, something that you guys have made a breakthrough on.
Yeah, very important point. Unlike the beginnings of crypto, where there wasn't any regulation, that has all changed dramatically now, as we all know as well. The security token space is only a couple of years old. So again, if you want to, people have been a little bit impatient, but it takes time to get licenses, and the regulators, some of them have to get their heads around what's happening. So we saw that need to, the securities laws are often, too onerous. But, the real DNA of it was to protect investors. So a lot of the crypto community seems to be somewhat, or a lot of them are just anti-regulation, but the actual DNA, apart from all the paperwork and the headaches, was trying to protect investors from getting basically, screwed over. So what we're building is a place for, let's call it the 99.9% of assets that don't tick the box as the top 1%, and give them the same kind of DNA and a friendly home in a compliant way for tradability and bringing the DNA of those public market assets, which is tradability and price discovery and transparency.
So what's the opportunity now for people in the space? So you said, what should they be looking at? Should they be looking at regulation? What should they be looking at? Should they be looking at trading with some of these tokens early? What do you think they should be looking at right now?
Sure. Yeah, so look, first of all, I think, you've got to be looking at where you are buying and trading these assets, right? I think that's key. The whole point of having some regulation around security tokens is, again, to protect investors. It's not meant to deter people from investing. So I think what's key for people in the space is to first look at where you are getting involved and where you are buying and selling is number one. Second of all is to really look at the underlying security. So that is, the security token is a security that's been tokenized, so no token is going to save a poor quality investment and kind of vice versa. So you're still owning a share of whatever it is, a company, a piece of real estate in a token format. It's much more dynamic. It's much more transparent. It's tradable. You could actually eventually lend, borrow, stake, and do all of those DeFi services that exist for crypto. You can do the same thing with your security tokens, but you need to look through and make sure that you want to own this asset with or without a token. I'd go so far as to say that. Now, this is still 1.0. 2.0, we're going to see a whole new kind of explosion of products coming out. We'll get into that another day. But I think that, and I think what's important as well is to find those platforms that are looking forward and looking forward ahead. And those platforms that are looking forward ahead in the security token space are the ones that are converging and marrying with crypto and DeFi, because that's the real, that's going to be the real explosion. Our vision was always to see, all these digital currencies, of course, IXS to play a big part in that digital currency ecosystem, but not to be completely exclusive. That doesn't make sense. And have all of these security tokens for all these different assets. And then you're starting to see all these wonderful, exciting opportunities with the digital currencies converging with all the digital securities. So that's really what I think people need to be thinking about and looking at. And you've got to spend a bit of time and energy doing some research. But again, there's a lot of materials out there. We spend a lot of time trying to educate. We're going to come out with an STO course for the community and just try to break things down into kind of simple, digestible pieces and get excited by it. I mean, this is like the first time in 100 years that investing in these types of assets has changed. I could give you a break it down. If you wanted to invest into real estate or venture capital previously, up until the last year or two, first of all, you predominantly have to be an accredited investor and institutional investor. So you got to have a lot of money. Second of all, you sign into these deals, and often you've probably done a few of these before blockchain came along. You sign into a real estate deal and you just wait 10 years and nothing happens.
Yes.
And then eventually you get a payout or a VC. Traditional VC fund is typically a 14-year hold, at least from start to finish. You might get some payouts. Now, a world of new assets, you're going to be able to get into these without having to be an accredited investor. You're going to be able to use your cryptocurrencies to interact with these, and you're going to be able to take bite-sized pieces of these assets that you typically could only own before if you had a lot of money. This is fundamentally game-changing, and I think that what was super exciting at the beginning of the year was seeing FTX and I think Bitfinex and Binance start to launch the first tokenized stocks. Now, that is a security token, and it's just one type of security token. So you now have the leading crypto groups coming into the security token space, and then on the other side of it, you have banks. I guess I'd just use DBS in Singapore as an example, launching a cryptocurrency exchange, but they're traditionally a securities business. So initially you think they'd start with security tokens, but they've actually started with crypto, and now they're adding security tokens. And now you have the crypto guys coming this way, and let's call it the securities guys coming that way. And this is the direction of the markets. And then we want to put IXSwap as a key infrastructure bridge in the middle of that ecosystem.
What can you do on IXSwap right now? So in terms of what you can do and the functionality, what can you do on IXSwap?
So the platform will be kind of officially launching in early next year. What we're looking at right now is the whole purpose of IXSwap was let's dial it back and give a crypto example. So the beauty of Uniswap, if you're any token, altcoin, big, small, beautiful, ugly. You could find now via Uniswap's amazing design an exchange to launch, and you could create the first liquidity pools. This was fundamentally game changing. I think a lot of people just think Uniswap's a decentralized exchange and it's cool and it's got a great logo and all that. But
way more than that. Way more than that.
It's way more than that. It's way more than that. So if you think about this, it was basically like saying, if I'm a startup, I go to NASDAQ, and if I'm the biggest, if I'm WeWork, I get on there. But if I'm small, no one cares about me. Well, but what if there was a place if I was small and I could launch my security token? That's where we think about IXSwap. It's the Uniswap for security tokens. For any security token, big, small, any jurisdiction, we're agnostic to the security tokens. And what we've done, we've mirrored that DNA, let's call it, in terms of anyone can launch a security token. Anyone can launch the first pool, the security token pools, to create the same setup that Uniswap did for the crypto world, IXSwap does for the security token space. But to give a little bit of an insight as well, what we're going to add very soon is fractionalized NFTs. And I think that's always been, it's now obviously a super, super hot topic. Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. And this is how we see it. There's two types of NFTs, right? I'm just boiling it down. And again, this is our perspective and people can agree or disagree. There are NFTs that are, collectibles. They're clearly not securities, right? They're art, they're anything. And if you break that down into fractionalized components, whether that is or isn't, some of them aren't and some of them aren't, But there are other types of NFTs that clearly want to be fractionalized, and they clearly are securities. So we are going to build the ability to create the first liquidity pools and the AMMs for fractionalized NFT, which I think which is really amazing, because a lot of these NFTs are getting really, really valuable, and
millions of dollars. I mean, that's crazy, right? But it's real. But it's what it is, right?
Yeah, it is. And I think a lot of you think about buying this stuff. Sure, everyone's piling into all different sizes of these things. Very low cost, very high cost. I think there's a huge market that would like to own a smaller piece of something that's very big and very well known and kind of already a success, right?
And I definitely see the NFT space being, sorry to interrupt you there. I definitely see it being bigger than just representing art. I feel like there's like a lot of talk now pushing, digital rights ownership, you're kind of extending that. Even, it's like expensive luxury goods, even like that. It's piling on. So I feel like, you're stepping in the front there. So that's what's exciting that's coming up. So it's coming up. So the first stage is the securities exchange, and then you're going straight for NFT fractionalization.
Yeah, and I think just to touch on that point you mentioned, when I said there's clearly some NFTs that aren't securities, right? Maybe it's a fractionalized piece of art and there's no one managing it. There's no expectation or guaranteed, or it's not sold with the expectation of a profit, which is what to simplify, that's what a lot of the definitions of securities are. But yeah, take IP rights, take music rights, take, the labels. There's a huge trade from the Beatles or the Stones, I think, or Michael Jackson, his music rights and hundreds of millions of dollars. These things are clearly securities, which is great. It's fine. But what we're saying is we can be a friendly home to all of those, call them fractionalized NFTs, to create liquidity pools and trading. And I think that's super exciting, because if you think about it from an artist perspective, a lot of people, just like, it's not even just an artist, right? I mean, a lot of business owners, right? They're very asset rich, but they got no cash. And it's the same for, potentially of artists, right? Like, I've got all these beautiful arts worth a lot of money, but I don't really have any, but I don't want to sell the whole thing. So here's a way to offer to the community participation in all the great things. Pretend I'm a great artist in my art, my career, in a really proven, valuable objects, and I can create some liquidity. So I can get a little bit of liquidity out of it, which is good for me. And then also from I call it a buyer's perspective, it's like buying essentially, I think the thesis from an investment perspective is it's like buying a stock of Apple, right? You go and buy a stock of Apple, or Coinbase, better example. You are hoping to ride in the future growth of Coinbase. You believe in it, but you own a small percentage, and you're not there for voting rights. You generally don't have any. So that's the same, and I think that's going to really explode.
Awesome. So how can people find out more? So how can people find out more about what you're doing and what IXSwap, and also about kind of what hurdles you cross in terms of regulation as well? How can people find out more?
Yeah, look, the easiest way is to join our Telegram, and you can check out all the information. We're completely transparent. It's all on our website, ixswap.io. Maybe we could put in a link to all of the channels. We just started our Discord channel.
Exactly. You're going straight for
Yeah.
that. So yes, guys, check out the links down below. So Discord, Telegram. So we also got the main website. So everything there, ask questions. I think that will be the best way for everyone going forward here. So thank you, Julian, so much for sharing some of your knowledge and your excitement in this space. I definitely feel like it feels like we're super early. Like I feel like a lot of people this hasn't clicked in a lot of people's minds yet, but I feel like this is something that, once it pops, it's gonna be just utterly insane and just transformative. And I think that is absolutely right. Like something like this has not happened for since the invention of the freaking internet. Like that's finance has not been disrupted this way. So let's keep doing this stuff. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having us.
See you soon.
Appreciate the support.
Cheers.